Hello and welcome back to another David Anderson Longbow Arrows video. So we're working on some supplementary videos that obviously part of the actual series, and today this is to do with shaft preparation and finishing. So what we'd like to have a look at is, you may have heard of something called a dip tube. So essentially what this is it's a plastic tube. You fill it with whatever you want to dip your arrow shafts into, so be it if it's lacquer or varnish or even a paint. You build this tube, you dip your arrow shaft in, you take it out, and it's covered in whatever substance you want. Now, I personally don't use those, but I'm going to show you today how we actually make them. So a few things that you want to do. It's not expensive, depending on how many of these you actually want to make. So what you do first of all is we are going to go and get some tubing. Okay, this is 40mm plastic or PVC waste tube. Okay, and what we're basically going to do with it, so I've got another camera set up here on the workbench, so hopefully you can see a bit more there, is we're going to measure it along. I'm cheating a little bit because this one I have already cut, but we're going to measure it. This one here is this is actually 47 inches. What I wanted is a 32-inch one, which is this one. This is already cut at 32 inches. There we go, 32 inches. So this is the size that we want. Okay, the reason why we're going for 32 is because the arrow shaft itself, the bare arrow shaft, they come in 32-inch lengths. And what you're going to do is take your arrow shaft, you're going to have your knock on the end of it, and then you're simply going to take your tube and you're just going to go dip back out and then hang it up to dry. Now, I'll come into all the cons about that in a minute. So there's your tube. You need to cut your tube down. I'm going to use this other piece here as a demo. You can have a 32-inch tube for preparing an entire arrow shaft, or if you want to perhaps only crest 12 inches of the shaft, so like maybe the top 12 inches of your shaft, or 10 inches, whatever distance you want, what you can then do is, with some more of this pipe, cut it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 10-inch tube. Okay, so I'm going to mark off my 10-inch line just there. Okay, now there's my 10-inch line. Now there's two ways of cutting this. There's the easy way, there's the hard way. Okay, so first of all, the hard way, junior hacksaw. Okay, simply going on like that, and we just cutting all the way through, and eventually you'll get there. However, because I'm a man and men like toys, right, I'm going to put this pipe in the vise there just to hold, it's just holding it, but I'm still going to be able to twist it. I am going to use Mr. Cutter. So what I'm going to simply do is go and retrieve that from the floor. And there's my 10-inch tube. Absolutely perfect. If you want to make some more, you can, because I've still got some more tube left. This came as a 2-meter waste pipe tube. Oh, that smell is a horrible smell. 2-meter pipe tube. It was about £3.50 or something. I got mine from B&Q. Okay, and I'm going to go through the other parts in a minute. So that there And then what I do is simply just get a little bit of sandpaper just to even off those edges a little bit. I'm going to do this is what I cut up last time, so I'm just going to even that out a little bit just to make it less jaggy. Okay, so there's my 10-inch tube. This is my 32mm tube. Okay, now the other things that you want is you need some of these bits. Okay, so this bit, this is a 40mm waste pipe coupler. It's about £1.48ish, £1.50, something like that. Okay, and what you can, I mean, basically what it does is it joins two pipes together. Okay, so that's a coupler, so that's one thing that you need. The other thing that I go for is this little device here. Okay, so this is an end cap. Okay, so what this basically has is it's got a thread on it, neck there, and on here is a screw thread and a seal in the bottom there. Okay, it's got a bit of dust in, take that out. So what you basically do is you screw that in. Now for each tube that you're making, you want two of these. Okay, one for the top, one from the bottom. So what we're going to do is, there's the thing, coupler, tubes on there. Okay, what I'm now going to do is just measure. Okay, so that's now coming out at 12 inches. Okay, so what we've done with by putting the coupler in is we've added 2 inches to the length of the tube. So that, but as we only wanted 10 inch, I might now go and cut another 2 inches off that. So we're going to have exactly the same thing with this tube here. Okay, so this one here is 32 inches. That's going to make it 34. So I'm going to cut another 2 inches off that as well. Right. So now, assuming that we've cut off our 2 inches, yeah, go on and I'll measure it because I've got plenty of time. Right, there's me 2 inches. Shall I do it with junior hacksaw this time? Which was actually a lot quicker than a power tool, really, wasn't it? So there you go, an experiment. Power tool versus hand tool, what you're going to go for? You know, just going to tidy up the edges a little bit. You're going to want to make sure that any plastic that you've cut doesn't stay inside the tube, because obviously that's then going to mix with whatever liquid you're putting in there. So just tap it all out. Okay, so coupler on there, end tube on there. Now if I get my tape measure back, Mr. Tape Measure, hello Mr. Tape Measure, stick him in the tube. I could have done this a better way, couldn't I, really? But never mind. Oh, hang on. Yes, he's knocked the base off. As you probably realised, this whole video is ad-lib. Okay, no script, no method. It's just doing it. Right. So what we're going to do? We're going to do it a bit easier this way. There we go. Get in there, and yep, we're now at 32 inches. I don't know if the camera up there can see. Probably, there we go. Bend that round there, about 32 inches. You might be able to just see that in the camera there. So the problem we now have is this just keeps on falling off. Okay, how are we going to fix that? Well, you could go out and get some proper waste pipe glue. I did ask the guy in the shop about it, about how to keep these things connected. He said you can use whatever glue you want, really. So I'm using some super glue. So all I'm simply going to do is, I don't want to super glue the the screw bit, obviously, because that's very important there. But I'm going to put some glue around here. Okay, that bit there is on. Right, while that there is setting, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put some glue on the inside of here. This is going to be for inside of the tube. Right, and I'm going to let that all set. Did I manage to get some glue on my fingers? Yeah, yes. Hazards of the job. Right, now, why are we using the screw cap? Two reasons, okay. One is when you've got your base like so, okay, what you can then do is effectively unscrew it, and as you unscrew it, okay, all your liquid that you've got inside the tube is going to come out the bottom. Okay, so it's a good way of getting rid of liquid that you don't want. So if you want to empty out your varnish or your paint or whatever it is, you can empty that from the tube from the bottom. Yeah, theoretically you could turn the tube upside down, you could do it that way as well, but you need to clean the tube out. Okay, and the best way of cleaning the tube out is having a complete hollow tube there. So what you would do then is you get your hose or water, so squirt through the top of it, and it'll come straight out the bottom. Okay, so it's just a really, really easy way of being able to clean it out. Okay, so like I said, that bit there about £1.50, that there about £1.50. The 2 metre tube was about £3.50. Okay, so for what's that, 3 quid, 6.5, 7 quid, you've got yourself a dip tube. Okay, not very expensive. If you want to make more, it's cheap enough to do, isn't it? I mean, you could have lots of these tubes, and you could have lots of tubes with different colours in them, for example, or you could have varnish in one, you could have lacquer in another one, you could just have Danish oil in another one. With your 12cm tube, I'm going to glue this one up now as well. So let's get me glue. Okay, and I'm going to let this. I'm just going to let all this dry. And in she goes. Okay, that one there was a little bit loose, so that's why we're going to want the glue. What we can do with this is you can actually probably just put, we've got it on this one here, yeah, you could probably just put an edge of glue just around the joint there. Okay, and that'll just give that a seal. In actual fact, you know what, I might do the same with this one here, just to give it that bit of a seal. Okay, so that's those bits there done. Stay, don't fall over. You need to get your top and bottom. Here's the other one here. What did I do with, she's over there. Let's just make sure I don't pull the camera over with the with the microphone. We wouldn't want that now, would we? Here's another one. So this is exactly the same thing. So this is going to go in the top like so, and then you've got your, now the good thing with this here is this is only just sealing it. Okay, I'm not actually going to glue this on, because if I glue this on, I'm now adding another 2 inches to the length of the tube. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that as it is and use it as a cap. Okay, and just to make doubly sure that I'm not going to mess everything up, get a marker pen, and on there you see that top, so we know which is the top. And there we have it, job done. And we have a good couple of tubes. Okay, so we've got a big dip tube, we've got a small cresting dip tube. Now, why don't I use them? Very, very simple. To fill this up with a liquid, you are talking about maybe using an entire can of say Danish oil or something in there. You're literally filling this up. Okay, the problem you then have is once you've filled it up, let's take the top off, shall we? Once you've filled it up and you've dipped your arrow, okay, and then you take your arrow back out. You need to hang that arrow up somewhere, okay, and so you're now going to need to find space to be able to do that. Okay, where can you, I mean, in my workshop I don't really have very much space where I can hang arrows, particularly as I like to do sets of 12 arrows. So where am I going to hang up 12 arrows? Then they're going to drip. Okay, they're going to drip dry, and the problem with that is I think that you're going to end up with lots of solution coming straight down the shaft, and you're going to have lots on the bottom, not very much at the top. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I don't like using dip tubes. Very, very expensive to fill. With something like this one here, one of the issues that we have is, unless we look in it, we're not going to know how much liquid is left unless you get a clear tube. Okay, and the clear tubes tend to work out a lot more expensive. Not only that, is what I prefer to do. If you have a look at my video on shaft preparation, I prefer to take my arrow shaft, obviously once it's sanded down, and I like to rub in the Danish oil into it. I get a much more even, smooth layer on that. And also when I'm varnishing or lacquering, I prefer to actually use a paintbrush to do it, because that way I get nice even coat all the way up and down the shaft. So that's the only reason why I don't use dip tubes rather. But if you do, then you do. I might give this one here a go for cresting. It might make cresting a little bit easier, but we shall see. There you go. Lots of videos, other videos on YouTube as well about making dip tubes. If you want to go and have a look at those, that's absolutely fine. But that's there was one that I saw with a guy who made an actual stand, and he had about half a dozen big ones, and he had about 4 small cresting ones. And I'm thinking, well, if you really want to go that far into it, then that's entirely up to you. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share. Whatever, and if you want to leave any comments, I mean, I'm always looking for hints and tips as well. Drop them in the comments. Thank you very much.